An intoxicated young man went crazy town with our request and hit me even though I am 8 months pregnant, so we got him and his buddies served. In the late 80s, my husband and I drove from Omaha to Kansas City to see The Who at Arrowhead. I was about 8 months pregnant, and this was our last getaway before kid number 2 came around to keep us tethered for a while. When we got to our minivan after the show, about 6 to 8 college-age kids were in the vacant spot next to ours. They were drinking beers and having a good time. They were also throwing their empty beer cans everywhere beside a trash can. Everywhere mostly seemed behind and on both sides of our car. This wasn't a big deal, but we had to back out and didn't want to have to run over about a dozen beer cans. As we were getting into the van, one of us said to them, "Hey, would you mind just moving the cans behind us so we can back out and go?" Out of nowhere, one of the guys in the group went to crazy town. His chest got all puffy, and he started yelling at us like, "Who do you think you are telling us what to you blah blah blah." Now, years later, I don't remember what he said. I just remember we looked at each other with what is going on here. My husband said, "Look, we just want to leave, so move the beer cans from under and behind our car." Crazy Town moved into a whole other realm of ballistic. He slams his palm against the van window, demanding we make him move those cans. To this day, I am still amazed at the resilience of those Chrysler windows. His nuttiness provoked both of us, and we were both out of the van, yelling at him to get away from our van. When it looked like a fight might break out between my husband and CT, I stepped in between. I didn't figure anyone was gonna hit an 8-month pregnant woman. His buddies pulled him back at this point, but he was still mouthing off. We snaked our way forward between a couple of other cars and drove off with them throwing fists and yelling. A few rows over, we noticed a couple of police cars. We looked at each other and said, "Yup." We drove over and recounted what had happened. The officer saw my belly and told us to take him to them. So we drove back over. Crazy Town saw us and immediately jumped toward our van, ready to resume his tirade. We pulled into a parking spot, and he saw the police car. The first thing the cop said was, "You boys having some fun here tonight?" We hear a "Yes, sir," round from the group. Then the cop asked, "Are you old enough to be drinking? Let's see some IDs." The group got quiet. Real quiet. The cop says, "I didn't think so. So you'll first pour out every can that's here, open or unopened. And when that's done, we're going to talk about your disturbing the peace charges." We watched as the cop pulled an entire case of beer from the trunk, and the kids started pouring beer from both the open and new cases. Then we looked over at Crazy Town, waved out the window, and said with huge grins, "Have a good night, bye." Still laughing. 36 years later. Still laughing.